serial killer from Lima, Peru made international headlines from the bizarre reasoning he used while choosing his victims when he began a murderous spree starting in the year 2005. His name is Pedro, the Apostle of Death Ludena, and he'd become known as the most brutal serial killer in Peru's history. Pedro Pablo Nakada Ludena was born in Lima on February 28, 1973, to a very dysfunctional family. His alcoholic father would die while he was a child, and his mother had undiagnosed mental disorders. When his father died, he took out his grief while torturing small animals, a well-known indicator of how many serial killers begin their criminal behaviors. Ludena was often beaten by his siblings, and Pedro claimed to have been raped by some of them at a very early age, as they thought he killed a pet dog, which would result in his undying hatred of homosexuals. Pedro and one of his brothers, Veyron Ludena, would both eventually attempt to become citizens of Japan, and while Veyron was successful, Pedro wasn't. He would remain in Peru, and prior to 2005, would claim that he would hear the voice of God telling him to cleanse the earth by killing criminals, drug addicts, and gay men. Ludena's victims were shot and killed with 9mm handguns that he'd fitted with homemade silencers. His first victim was killed in January of 2005 after Ludena thought that Carlos Aguilar was going to rob him. His next victim, a 50-year-old woman, was killed simply because Ludena saw her smoking cigarettes. The Apostle of Death's reason for murder would go on to include criminals guilty of robbery and assaults, some men who were shot simply for being gay, and one man because Ludena wanted to sleep with his wife. After a shootout with the police, Ludena was arrested and confessed to killing 25 people, although he was convicted of killing 17. His brother Veyron Ludena is currently sentenced to death in Japan after he murdered 6 people in 2015. Therapists have diagnosed both brothers as paranoid schizophrenics. Pedro Ludena would be sentenced to a maximum prison sentence of 35 years and is currently in the psychiatric ward of Lurigancho prison in Peru.